What's going on, guys? My name is eldeniro and welcome to a Midnight Hour movie review. Today myself and Santiago from the brilliant Weird With You podcast are bringing you a full review of the movie Nerve, which was released last summer. You can check it out on Netflix or whatever means you have by which to consume movie content in 2017. Something I'm not all that familiar with, but I'm pretty sure you can rent movies on iTunes and stream them as they're downloading and all of that type of stuff. So, you should check out the movie if you want to follow along with the review, and if not, you can just watch it. Whatever. Just a quick note about the guest Santiago. If you're unfamiliar, he's one half of the Weird With You podcast, as I mentioned, and he's been on the Midnight Hour a couple of times. I'm a huge fan of his show, and you can find it linked in the description. He's also backed by popular demand because a few of you, actually wanted him back on the show and asked for it, and B, wanted him back for this specific purpose, which is movie reviews. So if you're psyched to see this kind of content, then please consider leaving a like and definitely go over to Weird With You and drop them a follow or subscribe to them on iTunes or whatever podcasting app you use. If you can hear, there's like a bird's nest right outside my room, and it's crazy. I feel like I'm in some kind of dystopian post-apocalyptic hellscape zoo where birds rule the world. Anyway, with that out of the way, there's not too much to say in this intro. As per the title, you can expect a spoilerific episode, so don't come crying to us if and when we ruin this movie for you. Also, as this is kind of a new type of content for me, I'd really appreciate it if you could support the video by leaving a like or a comment, just so I know it's well received and that I should be making more content of this sort. If you have any suggestions for future movie reviews, please leave them in the comment section below or on the subreddit, which will be linked in the description. I'd like to stick to movies that are on Netflix because that's probably one of the best ways to be sure that we can all watch these films together, as I'm sure most of you will have access to a Netflix account. If you're listening to this on an audio platform like SoundCloud or iTunes, you can obviously download it, but if you access the video on YouTube, which I'll link in the description, you'll be able to see some pretty visual aids, and they might be able to help you relate the audio back to the movie a little bit more, especially if you haven't seen it in a while. Finally, if you want to discuss this movie review and don't have a YouTube account, you can follow us on Twitter or check out the subreddit. All of the links will be in the description for both myself and for Weird With You. Alright, the podcast is going to start now. I really hope you guys enjoy it, and I really, really hope you'll let us know what you think. I'm joined today by Santiago, one half of the Weird With You podcast. Thanks for coming back.
Hello.
And today we're going to review the movie Nerve, which is available on Netflix. It's a really new movie. It came out in July in USA, but I believe it was a September release in Europe. But I never even actually saw a single trailer for it. I just saw the thumbnail for it on Netflix and decided to click it because it was really shiny, really colorful. That is how my dumb idiot brain works, and that is the only reason that I actually watched the movie in the first place. I was really surprised to find out, though, that it was directed by Henry Joost and Ariel Schulman, the guys who did the Catfish documentary in 2010. I didn't know they were even into movies. I didn't know that they had made two paranormal movies or...
They did the Catfish TV show also.
Yeah, but that's not really that doesn't require talent,
Written by Jessica Scharzer. You know what she did?
I don't know what she did.
The made-for-TV remake of Dirty Dancing.
Oh, hot damn.
On ABC.
You know that she's got skills.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know that existed.
And she's a producer on American Horror Story, apparently.
Oh, right. Well, that's a pretty good credential, I think.
Well...
I've never seen that, but my friends rave about it, and they say it's really good. So
the first two seasons are excellent, and everything after that is trash. My opinion, not everyone's opinion.
You don't have to say that on this show. It's totally fine. You don't want to know my opinion on Bohemian Rhapsody and how I project it as fact. So, yeah, it's garbage. Anyway, the movie is actually based on a book by so. Is it Jean Ryan or is it Jeanne Ryan? Because that has to be the weirdest way of spelling. It's Jeanne.
I'm going to say it's Jean.
But that's like a guy's name.
Is it? Well,
I
Is
will.
Jian a woman or a man?
It's a good question. I mean, it looks feminine because it's NNE. Like that
Yeah,
usually
it's like
implies femininity, I think.
maybe it's actually they messed up on IMDb and there's supposed to be a space there and it just says Je An.
Yeah, that's possible.
Hi Anne.
I'm just gonna say it's a girl and it's Jean Ryan because that makes
Sure.
sense to me. So neither of us have read the book, and neither of
Nope.
us knew that such a book even existed up until quite recently. So yeah, we just launched straight into the movie. It's got Emma Roberts, who is in all of these sort of teen movies, and it's got Dave Franco, who, despite having the last name Franco, is not a piece of shit. So that's pretty cool.
Looks a lot like his brother though.
I think, see, when I see James Franco, I want to punch him in the face. When I see Dave Franco, I think this guy would probably be a good friend to have
He's the
around.
least. He's the less sleazy, nicer looking brother.
Yeah, but he is still sleazy looking, isn't he? In a weird way.
A little bit, but not as much as his brother.
Yeah. Plus, he doesn't have the like reputation damage that his brother has suffered. Like,
Mm.
sending that 17-year-old girl like 200 Instagram messages to try and meet up with her, and all of the various other weird things that James Franco gets up to in his spare time.
Can I just say unimaginative parents? Really? James and Dave? With the last name like Franco, I'd expect more.
Yeah, like Julian.
Or
Call your.
Ulysses Franco.
Yeah, something cool. Like, it's so
But he's
funny
like,
that.
call me Yule.
Oh yeah, these acting families that have like River Phoenix and Joaquin
Yeah,
Phoenix. Oh yeah, no,
exactly.
we've just got James and Dave over there
I know.
acting
We
up
had
a
another son,
storm.
his name would be Bob. Bob Franco. Jeff.
It's also got Emily Mead, who was in a movie called Money Monster that I also watched recently, and her like one scene in it was absolutely amazing. So I don't really know her from anything else, but she's pretty good. She plays Sydney, the hardcore rebellious teenager who is friends
Yeah.
with Emma Roberts, who's very shy and like a bit of a wet blanket, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then Juliette Lewis is in it, who obviously is a heroine, and also Machine Gun Kelly is thrown in there for good measure because why not?
Just for fun.
Yeah, why not just throw a quote rapper end quote into your teen movie to appeal to all of the wide ranges. So we will be discussing spoilers throughout this, and I guess we could give like a brief synopsis of the movie itself. Basically, V, who is played by Emma Roberts, is a shy teenage girl who has a single mom, from what I can tell. She has an older brother who died a few years previously, and she wants
Because he was
to.
too adventurous.
He was way too adventurous. Yeah,
He never said no to anything.
that's right.
Or was it that he says yes to everything? It was one of those.
It was one of those, yeah. He's just not a maybe guy at all, like not by
No.
any measure.
Absolutely not.
So yeah, she wants to go to like art school or college or something like that, far away, but she feels really guilty about leaving her mother because her mother really selfishly outright tells her that she does not want her to move out, which I
Yeah.
thought was really weird and very uncharacteristic of Juliette Lewis too. I did not think that kind of role suited her. Um, then her best friend is Sydney, played by Emily Mead. She's the really outrageous, adventurous, stereotypically insecure high school girl that like wants to show off to everyone because deep down she feels nothing inside. Um, so that's what I assume is happening.
That's a pretty accurate description of it.
So they start playing this game called Nerve, or at least Sydney introduces the idea of this game called Nerve that she sees on Facebook, and they show a little trailer for it, which I actually think was pretty well done. Like, it did actually remind me of something that I'd see on 4chan, like the mixture of really bad old grainy footage and sort of new slick, like
It had that anonymous kind of thing.
it totally
going for
did, yeah. And like it seemed pretty rich in like memes as well, like not in a really tacky tone deaf way that you'd see in some Hollywood movies. Like it did seem to actually be in touch with the type of demographic it would, attract in real life. And basically, the idea is like you sign up for Nerve as either a watcher or a player, and you pay like $20 for a month or something like that to watch, and you get to watch people film stuff on their phones that they do, like outrageous dares that verge from eating dog food to like jumping off a really high thing into some water, or what was the thing that Machine Gun Kelly was doing at the start? He was like on a skateboard holding onto the bumper of a police car,
Yeah,
which was
yeah.
yeah.
As it careened down the street. It's very so the thing is that the watchers can actually vote on what the dare is going to be,
Yeah.
and then so the dare is kind of democratically voted on by the watchers, and then the person who is doing the dare has a certain amount of time in order to do it before they are no longer in the game.
And they get paid really handsomely for it too.
And well, I guess we'll get to this later, but some of the dares receive a disproportionate amount of money for how stupid it is.
Yeah, they really do. But like, if that was a real thing, I would totally be signing up for that. Like, I'll eat dog food for $150. Like, I mean, I shouldn't have said that on on a podcast.
The evidence is out there.
Yeah.
I think the funny thing is that like you literally can just quit whenever you want.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. I guess it's pulling on the kind of gambler instinct where that kind of addictive mentality where you get kind of addicted to the loop, the gameplay loop of Nerve would be like making the money and getting more money, and progressively as you get more viewers, you would be making more and more money.
And you get more famous too. Like you get the buzz of, you know, people knowing who you are and the notoriety and all of that stuff that insecure girl Sydney wants, you know, like just that sort of brush with fame that our generation is constantly criticized at, you know, being completely engrossed by.
It does kind of remind me of the beginnings of Twitch and other streaming services.
Yeah.
For games, where you would have these people who would be like, if you subscribe, if you pay me, or if you tip me, like, I'll do this.
Yeah, yeah.
And in the early days, it would be women being like, if you do this, I'll take my top off. Or like a guy would be, if you do this, I'll jump off my roof or whatever. And like people started getting hurt, and a lot of the stuff was becoming kind of like pornographic. So they had to put a halt on it.
Yeah.
But it is kind of like keying into those sorts of, I guess, like behaviors that people kind of indulge in whenever there's this mob mentality of like, oh my God, I'll give you money to do this.
Yeah, and the sinister edge isn't really like prevalent in the beginning. Like, it does say that the third rule is that snitches get stitches, but it doesn't ever really specify what that actually means. So
even at the end, it doesn't. Like,
no,
it's not very clear.
Yeah, there are certain ways in which they don't clarify things about the game that in real life these would be the first types of questions that you ask. But I kind of think that works in the movie's favor too. Like, it never tells you how big Nerve actually is. It never tells you like the extended network of the game, how many users it has. But it does. I did notice that when V first signs up to it, it says Nerve New York, and Tommy, who we haven't mentioned yet, who is the most friend-zoned character in the history of, and I don't believe in the concept of a friend zone, but this guy has fucking invented it.
He was written into a friend zone.
Yeah,
like, that was the way the writing was.
Yeah, it was absolutely horrendous. He's basically Emma Roberts' bitch in the movie and does everything that she asks of him, and with a smile on his face.
Which is funny because there's a scene later on in the movie where she criticizes what's her name, the best friend, Sydney. She criticizes Sydney for turning her into the exact same thing that she does to
that's true,
her friend zone guy.
Yeah, he is so friend zoned. But he tells her that they played it in Seattle and some kid died in Seattle, and she's like, "There's no way that's true. I mean, I'm not going to look it up, even though I have the ability to do that in the palm of my hand right now. But that's not going to happen." And
the characters are just dumb enough for the movie to work.
They are, and they give you little hints about what their sort of specialist topic is. Like, Tommy is a guy who spends most of the movie driving around in his car on the phone to people or else on his laptop.
Watching video while he drives.
Yeah, which is just way worse than any of the stuff that the people
honestly,
participating in Nerve
he should be making some money off of that.
Yeah,
Like, if he had signed up as a player, everybody would be like, well, keep watching and keep driving.
But he's like the ultimate wet blanket, I think.
Oh, man, yeah.
He's also
Tommy
just...
sucks.
Yeah, he's a stereotypical nerd. He knows what the dark web is, and he says, you're only accessing 10% of the web, while talking about how great he is.
That was one of my
favorite
favorite lines of the movie, was he's going on about, I guess, how much of a hacker he is or whatever. And I think his quote was, where do I have it? I have it somewhere here, about the deep web. He says the deep web, I think.
I thought he said dark.
Does he say dark web?
Maybe it's deep.
No, yeah, it's dark web. He says, I spend a lot of time on the dark web. And that line came out of nowhere. There was no kind of him talking about being a hacker first. He was just like, I spend a lot of time on the dark web.
I kind of like that, though, that it just... If you know, then you know. Like, if you get that reference, then you just straight up know that this guy, at some point in the near future, is going to shoot up a school. Like, let's face it, it's America. You know, he's driving around, he's on the dark web.
It's like, this guy's either a hacker or he's into watching some really weird, messed up stuff.
This guy went to... Like, he Googled how to get a girlfriend, found a pickup artist, eventually ended up hating all women, and then kills himself in a school along with 7 of his fellow classmates. And that's pretty much his character arc.
Well, that got dark.
Yeah. I have a tendency to do that. Yeah. This is a 12 rated movie. Yeah, no, for real though, for those of you weirdos who listen to this without having seen the movie, that doesn't happen. He's just a nice kid who drives around in his car and accesses the dark web.
He's just like the world's sweetest hacker.
He is exactly that. He's
just such a nice hacker.
Yeah, he is. He's
so altruistic.
It's you can tell the writers were like, we want to appeal to everyone who has ever been on the internet, and that includes the scumbags who do all the hacking. So
and he's the thing that's weird about that character, he's not even completely, he's so friend zoned, but at the same time completely not friend zoned, because he seems very aware of the fact that it's never going to happen.
Yeah, that's what and
it's like a little bit defeated, but at the same time he's just like, I've got nothing better to do.
And like V doesn't actually leverage the idea of there ever being anything intimate in it for him. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, and that's why there's no such thing as a friend zone, to be honest. But
right,
he's just like her slave, and it's really weird, you know. I always feel like I always used to think that every Julia Roberts movie was written by her boyfriend at the time, because it always makes her out to be this incredibly beautiful woman when in fact she isn't, and she has a weird looking face. And I feel like the same thing now is happening with her niece Emma Roberts, because she's also like not really that attractive at all.
Dude, you just blew my mind. I had no idea that they were related.
Really? But they look the exact same.
Now I see it. Now I see what I don't really like about Emma Roberts. It's the Julia.
That's exactly it, though. It's the weird-looking jawline. And, like, don't get me wrong, I am a huge fan of women with, like, unconventional faces. Like, Google a woman called Tammin Sursok or whatever. Like, she is incredible. Reese Witherspoon, like, I love that. But Julia Roberts is, I don't know, there's something weird about it. And Emma Roberts has the same looking thing, and I'm just not all that into it.
I think for me, it's not so much that she has a weird face. It's just that her expression is constantly... She looks like she's always on the verge of absolutely losing it.
Yeah.
She's probably such a nice person.
Yeah.
But honestly, every time I see a movie with her in it, she just looks like the camera goes off and she snaps. She's just like on a knife's edge, you know?
Yeah, I do know what you mean as well.
She's hanging in there by a string. Like, she's practically vibrating.
I've always thought that Julia Roberts just looks really unhappy. Like, and that her smile is coming from beneath eyes that are completely dead inside and colorless. And like,
not even the best actress.
Yeah, exactly. What were we talking about before that? I guess Tommy?
Uh, Tommy.
Yeah.
Yes. Nerve.
So, Sydney is like all up in this nerve game, and she's like, "Oh, check it out! I've got like this many followers," and then she moons the entire school at a cheerleading, a cheerleading. We don't have cheerleaders in our what
A
do
cheerleading rally, it was a football game.
Yeah, it was a football game, and there was
So
a
I don't
bunch
know
of
if it was like the
cheerleaders at
pre.
it.
I guess it was the pre-show. But who the hell cheerleads in sunglasses?
To be honest, like I live in
It's a
Ireland,
cry
and
for help.
the concept it's a cry for help.
It's just like, please love me.
Yeah,
I'm wearing sunglasses. Look at me. I'm so different.
And then she showed like what was underneath her skirt. So
Yeah.
it pretty much solidifies your point, to be perfectly honest. Um, I don't, can I just, as a side note, we'll try not to have too many of these, but as an Irish person, I do not understand why, oh, there's a football game for a bunch of teenagers, let's have the teenage girls come out wearing like not a whole lot of clothes and showing how athletic and flexible they are.
I thought you were going to say that being in Ireland, that you don't have a concept of sunglasses.
No, I do, and they're very good. We have sun here. It's sunny right now, actually.
Sure.
But yeah, cheerleader. What's that?
I find it really weird. Also, actually, in Canada, it's not really. I guess depending on where you are, it's not really as prevalent as it is in the States. Like that culture doesn't exist. But we have all the movies and the TV shows, so they try to sort of emulate it in a way. So we weren't allowed to have cheerleaders. So in high school, we had spirit squads.
Oh wow, that's a real thing outside of wrestling. I did not know that.
Oh my god, it was the worst. So it would be all like the kind of more athletic parts of it, but they weren't really dressed scantily or anything like that. And they did competitions that were outside of sporting events. But a lot of the sports organizations for high schools in our part of Ontario were kind of against it. So we made up for it. We had an awesome drum line, but that was about it. So I don't get it either.
That's the most Canadian thing I've ever heard, possibly.
Well, I don't know about those cheerleaders, eh? They're just, you know what we need? We need some spirit. So let's just have some spirit, and I'll just have a Tim Hortons, and it'll be fine. Some smoked cod.
Yeah,
that's
what I imagine Canada as. A utopia for that, whatever that just was. That's Canada. So yeah, Sydney bears all at the cheerleading thing. She gets suspended, and she is not one bit disappointed because
I missed that part of.
Oh really? They were sitting in the little diner thing, and V came and sat down, and Sydney was like talking up nerves. She was like, "Oh, I wonder what my next dare is going to be." And V was like, "Oh, I thought you'd be really disappointed that you got suspended." And Sydney was like, "I don't know.
Look at my followers."
Yeah, something like that. Look how vapid I am. And
Cry for help.
The conversation shifted to everyone being like, "Hey V, why do you suck so fucking hard at everything that you do?" And Tommy, who didn't even get a seat at the table.
That was the best. He's just like leaning over the back.
He was sitting at the table behind them with his back to Emma Roberts' character V, and he was like leaning around saying like, "No, she shouldn't have to do this. We should like her for who she is."
You see, the backrest of the chair symbolizes the divide between the two characters that can never be reconciled.
There you have it, folks.
Yeah. Their pelvises can never touch.
Yeah, exactly.
They can speak to each other, but their pelvises may never touch.
They can never be involved in
pelvises?
any...
Pelvi?
Pelvi, I believe, yes.
We'll say pelvi.
Yeah.
I have a son and name him.
One of my favorite parts of the entire movie actually came up at this moment because they tried to peer pressure V into going and talking to JP, who's the local jock, really good at football, like really attractive brown-skinned young man, and the idea is that V should have to go and kiss him, but then they're like, no, start out even smaller than that, just go and talk to JP. And she's like, no, I don't know. And then Tommy is like, oh, she shouldn't have to do that. And then Sydney goes, all right, well, let's take a vote. Everyone votes in favor, and Tommy abstains from voting. So Sydney goes over to JP and talks to him on behalf of V and says, "Hey, one of my friends finds you attractive." And then he looks over and says, "She's not really my type." Um, and then Sydney is like standing up for V, and she says, "You're not as hot as you." Oh no, she goes, "You're not nearly as hot as you think you are." And then his friend goes, "Yes, he is."
That was a very real moment.
It was so good. It reminded
To be fair,
me.
he's a good-looking young man.
He had a Bruno Mars quality to him, where
Yeah,
not
he
only
did look like Bruno Mars.
not only was he just an attractive guy, but he looks like he's probably a good guy. Like you'd probably bring him home to your mother, you know.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
except for V, because he's not into her.
yeah, and I wouldn't, because that would be a weird conversation to have with my mother at this period of my life. But yeah, the whole like the guy who's such a jock that his friends back up how attractive he is. That it reminds me of that Backstreet Boys song where the guy goes, "Am I sexual?" and all his friends go, "Yeah." that's that's basically what that entire scene reminded me of.
Can I say that whole scene in the diner, the dialogue? I mean, if I didn't know better about the people who made this movie and who wrote this movie and what they did with Catfish, like they obviously have a pretty good handle on the social media internet culture thing,
Yeah.
which is probably where they got why they're so good with the memes and everything.
Yeah.
It does really feel like a film made for what old people think millennials are like.
Yeah, I agree, but I think that thread is like the same in any other teen movie. Like the dialogue is always so forced, unless it's like an independent movie or an art movie. Like if it's a blockbuster teen movie, that's pretty much what it's going to be like. It's like at least they're not saying stuff like "cowabunga" and stuff like that, I guess.
But you think of something like Kick-Ass, where the dialogue seemed a lot more authentic.
Yeah, but that was a rated R movie, right?
I guess. I don't know if that necessarily has to. It's not necessarily about the swearing. It's just the amount of slang that's getting thrown in.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's just where I live, but people never talk like that. Maybe I'm out of touch. Maybe I've gotten old, Al. I don't know.
No, it's the children that are wrong.
No, okay, thank you. I was starting to feel bad for myself. No, it's definitely the children who are the problem.
I think the thing about this kind of movie is that it's just it's an open like teen movie it's I mean, like I enjoyed the movie, but like let's face it, it is to attract the lowest common denominator of moviegoers. So I guess like I mean, it's not hoping to win awards for its dialogue or anything.
It does not require very much of the viewer.
Yeah, like the one thing I will say about a movie when I watch it's like my main question is not necessarily about the aesthetics of it as such, but just did it do the thing that it was attempting to do? And I think this movie does. Like it does it at the sacrifice of better dialogue, I think, but I can see why the guys who directed it wanted to keep it on such a narrow path, because like they're trying to make as much money as possible ultimately. And it did have a pretty good box office as well. It made more than twice the budget back, so I mean
That's good.
yeah,
That's before DVD sales and everything.
yeah, like that's a banger as far as it goes. So
It's not bad. It definitely was flashy enough.
yeah.
And I guess that was something else that I wanted to point back to the point about the way, like the kind of demographic that this is targeting. It's really clear in the cinematography, which it's a problem that I'm having a lot more as time goes on, I guess, is that the cuts are getting faster and there's less time being spent on shots. And one of the things that this movie does, particularly in the beginning, is show you what's important instead of getting there through any other means. It'll zoom in on the important, not literally zoom, but it'll cut to a close-up of anything that's remotely important. And there's a lot of fast cutting, a lot of camera movement. Nothing sits still for quite long enough for the eyes to get bored, and I think that's a response to something that we're seeing a lot more and more. Case in point, I'm going to talk about it because I'm super stoked about it. But as of we're recording this, last night the Twin Peaks revival came back on, and I watched that. And that's David Lynch, obviously. Mark Frost and David Lynch wrote it. David Lynch directs it. And I came back and I was talking to my brother about it, and I was saying, you know what? There are scenes in this, like, I think most people would have shut this off in the first 15 minutes if they didn't care about Twin Peaks at all. Because there are scenes that are just like 5 minutes straight of like the camera in the same position, not moving, nobody speaking, ambient noise, no music. It's like the opposite of what Nerve is, which is that like something that started around the time that the Bourne movies started coming out, where the cuts are faster, the music is constant, the movement of the camera is constant. That switch to handheld as opposed to on tripods, where it's not quite, the shaky cam caught on camera footage, but
yeah,
the movie does some of that where because people are filming the dares with their cell phones and stuff. But I think that it's like we are going to show you things instead of wasting time telling them because we just want to get to the next scene.
Yeah, it's something that I think Chris Nolan basically like took it, ran with it, and knocked it out of the park. If that's a correct metaphor for whatever sport that's supposed to be. But the way he, I think like every Christopher Nolan movie, there are multiple scenes where the dialogue from the next scene begins in the scene that you're watching now. You know what I mean? Like you hear the speech from the next scene, and then it flies straight into the next scene with like almost like a wipe transition, but it moves along from something else into some. And I think that's mainly his influence. Like I know you said the Bournes and stuff, but I think Chris Nolan is one guy who managed to make a bunch of 4-hour movies and condense them into 2.5 hours each. And I don't know if that's...
Yeah, but I feel like there's a difference between visual storytelling and what this is, which is kind of just like this feels more like getting things out of the way. So it's like, we've shown you the important stuff. We've shown you everything that you need to know to understand the next scene. Okay, are we good? Next scene.
I will say in defense of this movie that I think it kind of has to do that because of how preposterous the concept of it is. I mean...
I honestly think it's like, don't think about this too much. Just go.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what I'm saying. Like, it's because if you stop to think about how ridiculous the entire situation is, then the whole thing falls apart. Like, this is not really a strong plot in a movie. It's made as a sort of I guess a commentary on Pokemon Go, but also a commentary on the idea of people in crowds, like, just not having the best ideas when they come together, and like, stressing the idea of ultimately what every teenage movie does about individualism and being yourself and not bowing to peer pressure and stuff like that. But it does it in such a ridiculous setting, which I think we should get into. In Nerve, the rules in the game are that you have to film it on your own camera. That's the first rule. The third rule is snitches get stitches, and I cannot remember what the second rule is, but obviously it's not that important. So V eventually signs up.
Is it something like if you bail, you fail?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Nicely remembered.
Something like that.
So V signs up, and her first dare is to kiss a stranger in a restaurant for $100. $100! Like, I would do a lot. I should stop.
Where's that dog food?
So she gets Tommy to drive her there. Obviously.
Where I feel so bad for him.
Yeah, same. But he just, I don't know. He's made his bed. Ultimately, he has to lie in it.
Yeah, he's doing it to himself.
Yeah, he is. So he drives her there, and they go to this, one thing I'll say about this movie, right? We haven't even, I don't think either of us have actually given an opinion on the movie, right? This is one of the most visually slick movies I've seen in years, in terms of the kind of world it created from the modern world, right? If this movie was made in 1986, it would be the movie Hackers with Angelina Jolie and the guy who plays Shaggy in Scooby-Doo, whose name is Matthew Lillard, and I knew that from memory because I'm absolute hero. But in the movie Hackers, like there's a part where it shows them hacking and they're like walking around inside a visual interpretation of a computer, and it's cheesy as hell and it's horrible. Whereas this movie actually creates a semi-dystopic, futuristic technicolor landscape where everything is drenched in neon, and yet it seems so natural and normal. Like it's the world that you know and that we all live in. It's just digital in some way.
It's like if you took contemporary modern New York and then just bathed it in the 80s.
Yeah, it's like cyberpunk, but it's modern. Like it's not tacky.
I was gonna say that, like, one of the weird things about it, it's like this millennial Dare game with like the soundtrack of a made-for-TV Blade Runner sequel that never was. It's so strange. There's definitely like modern music in there as well.
I have to
but
say,
then
I
there's
love
like
the
this
soundtrack.
like weird 80s like synth that sounds vaguely reminiscent of, some sort of like sci-fi, and it hits like a nice tone where it's like, okay, I'm not a fan of the editing, but the actual shots and the lighting in particular are quite beautiful.
Yeah, I think it had stunning like lighting and use of color and stuff, and it's there's I guess we should talk about the scene. Like they go into this diner and it is lit up like a cyberpunk utopia in there. It's neon lights everywhere, and it's like an 80s diner, but it's drenched in like 1999 Technicolor kind of idea.
Oh yeah,
it's very, very beautiful. And she looks for a guy to kiss. She eventually sees a guy with a book right in front of his face, and it's called The Lighthouse, and it's her favorite book because which is a really neat nod to like the algorithms and the way that they know everything about you, the cookies, the way they sell you ads based on your browsing history and stuff.
Right.
So
it also ties into the end with the Statue of Liberty scene.
Oh yeah, and also it's something else I was going to say. Anyway.
It's whatever you want most, El.
Yeah, exactly. And
so the guy's reading the book The Lighthouse, which turns out to be like her favorite book.
Yeah, and it's Dave Franco, and he's like, "Oh, tell me they get to the lighthouse in the end. Look how dreamy I am." And so she decides to kiss him, and then she goes and sits back down, and then he gets up and leaves, and then Anything You Want by Roy Orbison comes on, and he is dancing around the diner singing it, and eventually he gets a chorus from everyone else in the diner who is so impressed by what he does.
Just the whole like running up onto a chair and riding it down as it falls.
Yeah, have you ever tried to
do that?
Which
I feel like if I ever tried to do that, I would end up in the hospital.
It's really, really hard, and I've seen it
looks
done
so easy, though.
It looks like the simplest thing ever, but it is not.
It makes it look simple.
It is so difficult to do. But yeah, he does that, and then he's all like, "Oh, look how charming I am! You didn't see that coming, did you? You thought I was just some guy, but no, I'm actually the heartthrob in this movie, and this is my entrance scene." And boy, was it emphatic. So it turns out he had to do that for a dare, and she's like, "Oh, you won your dare," and he's like, "Oh, yours was a dare too." And then they both realize that they're both playing nerve, and Dave Franco is like, "All right, I gotta go." And then V's phone lights up. It's the Nerve Watchers.
We find out that V stands for Venus.
That's right, the Greek goddess.
Which never really gets brought up again.
Yeah.
There's a lot of threads in this movie that just kind of get like put there and then let go.
My thinking behind that is that they're references to the book that they don't have to flesh out, but they're there to please the readers of the book.
Maybe.
That's what I think anyway. But in V's phone says, "Go with him to the city," and it's for some ridiculous amount. It's like $500 or something like that.
No, they haven't gotten to $500. It's like $250 or something. The $500 is the next dare.
Oh right, okay.
That's the one that I was saying was like ridiculous. How much money it was for what the dare is. It's really dumb.
Yeah, but it makes sense with what it leads to. I guess what the consequence of it is.
Yeah, but like because this stuff is all being voted on in real time, like what? I guess we don't know how the game works from your perspective,
which really works in the writer's favor, I think,
because they can kind of do whatever. It's like, oh, magic words appear on the phone and it tells them to do this.
Yeah,
but like I like how it says like go to this place, but that's not the dare. It's like they have to go to that place and be in that place, and then the dare gets accepted. But in some scenes, they have a time limit to get to the place. So when she goes to the diner, she apparently only has 15 minutes to get to the diner to get her first dare.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then in other scenes, it's like, get to this place, and there's no timer.
Maybe they put a timer on it based on how...
Proximity?
Based on either proximity or like traffic at the time, or other variables like that. I don't
Use
know.
the Google Maps.
Yeah, this is very possible. But she agrees to go to the city with him, and the scene in the car park where his neon bike is parked under these teal cylindrical neon lights, and they're juxtaposed by orange streetlights on the outside. They're sort of glowing in over the bushes, turning everything
Complementary colors. Oh my!
But I absolutely
it's so
love
Tron.
that type of thing. Like, I'm just the headlight on his bike has an orange glow, which contrasts with the blue neon that's laced throughout the bike. And like, they do this to keep you focused, but also to show you the contrast. It's the idea of, for anyone who doesn't know, like, every single movie in the last, I don't know, 10 years has been blue and orange because they're on opposite ends of the color wheel, and it's some like pseudoscience to do with
it's one of the most attractive complementary color pairings.
Yeah, and you're like, you focus on it an awful lot more. But I feel like in this movie they did it in such a just a visually stunning way. I can't get enough of looking at this movie. Like, but yeah, they. I
almost wish that they had just made like a cooler movie with the same lighting and film crew.
Yeah, but there are
the movie's not bad. Well, we didn't really get into like how good the movie is or whatever. Like, yeah. I don't think it's a bad movie. I agree with kind of the Rotten Tomatoes score that has it sitting at, you said, a 6.6?
Yeah, 66%.
Yeah, it's like, it's okay. The plot and everything. There are things about the movie that are actually a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I went in thinking it was going to be garbage, but there were parts of it that I enjoyed. And in the end, I'm like, if it was on TV and it already started and I didn't have anything better to do, I might watch it.
Should we skip ahead a little bit? We don't need to describe every single thing that happens in the movie, do we?
Well, I think we should get the key points. So the next part is that they get dared to go in to the building, which turns out to be a huge department store.
Yeah. And
she gets dared $500 to try on a dress.
Now, it is a couture dress that's worth $6,000.
Yeah. But it doesn't look like it's worth $6,000.
No, it doesn't.
Whatever. You can go in and it's like a car. You can try whatever the hell you want.
I know.
Like,
but
I don't even know why she felt so bad about going up there and being like, "Can I try on this dress?"
I think it's because the guy that she asked was just the biggest fucking dickhead I've ever seen in any movie.
He also
ever.
seemed like he was a watcher though, because he's like, but then he's like, "It's up on this floor."
Oh, that's interesting. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah,
but he definitely.
I got the impression he was in on it.
I thought that he would be like way too upper echelon snobby to even own a phone.
A cell phone.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys who just stands around in their tweed sports coats with the elbow pads and their corduroys, and they're drinking tea out of a thermos with their black rim glasses with no lenses.
And he has weird wrist jewelry where it's not quite a watch, but it's too big to be a bracelet, and you're like, what the hell is that thing supposed to be? And he's one of those guys. You gotta watch out for them. So yeah, she tries on the dress, and then which the contrast of the really shiny green couture dress and her used Adidas Classics is pretty cool.
I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed that.
And it turns out that the guy's in there as well. His name's Liam, or his screen name is Liam. And he's there as well, and he's trying on some, I don't know, was that like an
You mean Dave Franco? It's Ian,
yeah.
I thought.
Ian. Sorry, I don't know why I said Liam. Ian,
whatever. It is a very similar. I mean, literally, you just add one other letter and it becomes that. So.
So Ian's there. He's got like a I don't know what Armani.
Some shitty new money looking suit that.
Yeah.
A punk would wear.
Well, it looked good on him.
Yeah.
So he's there, and then they end up getting dared to leave. Yeah. And they have this big discussion about it. She doesn't want to shoplift, and he's like, well, but we got to do the dare. And then they look at each other and she's like, hey, it just says we have to leave the store.
Their clothes got stolen, by the way, by
Oh yeah,
Machine Gun Kelly.
that's probably important.
Yeah. Because people would be like, why didn't they just put their clothes back on?
Yeah, no, their clothes get stolen, and then they have to leave the store. And she realizes that the dare just says to leave the store. It doesn't say anything about shoplifting.
Yeah.
So they strip.
Yeah. By the way, when she is trying on the dress, and she's in, like, her bra and underwear, and the phone is down on the ground looking up at her, if you read the little chat room thing,
Oh, yeah.
it's the most internet thing ever. It's one line is like, she actually looks okay or something. And another one is like, she actually looks, or this is her best angle. And then the next line is, she's really skinny. And then the next one is, vegans, full stop. With no context. It just
Wasn't one of them like, I'd hit that also?
Yeah, one of them said I'd hit that, yeah. Vegans. Okay, yep. Thanks for the input.
That is very the internet.
Yeah, it is. It's classic.
I did like that shot of like looking through the phone, like you're behind the screen.
I thought that was super cool. Yeah,
that was pretty neat.
Yeah, and they did that several times throughout the movie. And you may have noticed that every time they show it from there, the screen becomes the touch screen.
Right.
Even when it's a computer, like, I mean, my computer right now is a touchscreen, so it's not unusual for that to be the case, but I thought it was interesting that they didn't show the mouse arrow thing. They just made it a touchscreen, just to sort of show that we're all becoming a smartphone.
Yes, one big smartphone.
One big smartphone.
Which turns out not so smart.
Yes, that's the ultimate lesson. So
they run naked out of there.
Yeah, and when they make it outside, it turns out that the clothes were bought for them by the Watchers, and they get to wear them, and that's pretty cool.
For the rest of the movie, basically.
Pretty much. Is it from here that leads into the first, like, really thrilling scene in the movie?
Yeah, this is where it starts to actually get... The dares have been cute. Like, this was the most... The whole scene in the department store was probably the most charming part of the movie.
Yeah.
Because that whole thing where they decide to strip down and leave without the clothes and they have to run through, it was cute.
Yeah.
And it was fun. You know, that was the point where I was like, you know, despite my best intentions, I'm starting to like this movie a little bit.
Yeah.
And so the next dare is where it starts to get really interesting because a guy shows up. I think it was it the friend?
Yeah, it was Machine Gun Kelly.
It was Machine Gun Kelly.
His name is Ty, I think.
Whatever. Yeah. Machine Gun Ty.
Yeah.
So Machine Ty comes up. And he has like a sticker and he gets V to hold it and he takes a picture. And then the dare is apparently that Ian has to put this sticker over his helmet, over his helmet visor so that he can't see. And he has to reach 60 miles per hour on his motorcycle.
It was at this point that I realized that Dave Franco is definitely a psychopath because...
Yeah.
Not only was he going to do it, but he insisted that V do it with him, which is just not really a thing you would do on a first date, like, in my opinion, where I come from.
But he needs a navigator.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, he's probably like 5 years older than her or something, and he's like, yeah, I want this schoolgirl to come on this motorbike with me while I blindly drive at 60 miles an hour in New York City.
His abs were cold. He needed someone to wrap their arms around him while he drove down the street blindfolded.
Is
that too much to have?
True. And when you put it
Why
like
was he shredded?
It's a movie. They're like the two most like attractive people in the entire building, and they have like unreal bodies, and they're both like, "Oh, look how nervous we are with her."
She's not popular, and he's a renegade. It's like, give me a break.
Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous. Like, it is absolutely ridiculous.
Even is it Todd, the friend zone friend?
Tommy.
Yeah, Tommy. Even he is like a good-looking guy that they just frumped up a little bit.
He is like 100 times more attractive than I could ever hope to be, and he's the friend zone nerd who surfs the dark web.
Yep.
It's movies, man. They are just a whole nother world.
I spend a lot of time on the dark web.
So they do this driving thing, and to be honest, this scene is absolutely awesome.
It's a pretty cool scene.
Yeah, it's really cool, and it's again the juxtaposition of the blue neon bike tearing through these really like brightly lit orange streets, and the way they did it was so cool. I thought, like, the bike starts out so shaky, and they nearly hit the taxi, and the taxi driver, who is just the most I don't even know the word, but just the most straight talking man in the world. He's like, "You have a sticker on your helmet." So
I know, he's like, I know, thanks.
Great observation. Yeah, that's literally what he says. He goes, "Yeah, thanks." And then Emma Roberts is like, "Sorry about that." I love how much I interchange the character name and the actor name with every single thing in the world that I talk about all the time. So yeah,
You know what you're saying.
Yeah, and eventually they come up with this system where she like leans for him, like she has her arms around him and she leans, and he judges the momentum of like the way she's swaying and then drives the bike accordingly. And I thought that was so cool, and like every light was green along the way, and I was like, oh,
It's
well,
symbolic, man. Like they're just so in sync, you know.
Exactly.
They're like really good team.
But it was so cool when, like, I actually popped a little bit when he was like, what color is it? What color is it? And like you can quite clearly see the orange glowing through his visor, and she's like, it's green, and she puts her hand on the throttle and just pulls it back, and then they both nearly die. It's like such a close call that it's actually like I got a little frightened. Like, I've driven motorbikes before, so I think that might be why I love the swaying thing so much, because like that would totally work. Like that is actually realistic.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's
That's how you do most of your steering on a bike.
Yeah, exactly. It would be a really cool like little thing to try, but obviously don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah. So yeah, and they eventually make it to like hordes of cheering onlookers who are watching on their phones and in person, which
I guess where we should also cut in that the friend. Why am I forgetting all of their names now?
Sydney.
She's at this party with all of the jocks and everybody.
Yeah.
And everybody has started streaming these Nerve stream.
Yeah, she's in the top.
So they're all
now.
watching. She's like, yeah, I think at that point she's like top 5.
Yeah, and it's obvious that Sid is really jealous.
It's like super bothering her because she's like, she doesn't even play this game.
She doesn't even go outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that party's going on, and then somehow their entire night ends up getting streamed, even though there's no one in the distance watching. That was really weird. That scene at the carousel, where like you can hear every piece of audio, and it's quite clearly something that they're watching from a distance, yet there's nobody recording it, and how could they
remember when they're on the carousel, these girls show up and they're filming, and he's like, oh, paparazzi or something like that?
Yeah.
So, like, maybe the idea is, like, that those people didn't actually leave, but I think it was that it was actually streaming through her phone.
Yeah, and maybe they just showed it from a distance at the party for, like, a stylistic choice, like they did with the touchscreen computer thing, even though you know it's not a touchscreen. I don't know.
Well, V ends up telling Dave Franco all about how Sydney is a piece of shit, terrible friend. She's, like, tired of being her lackey.
Yeah, her friend of presumably over 10 years or whatever, and some fucking guy that she meets for the first time, and she's like, oh, my best friend is such a cunt. I hate everything about her.
We've all had those moments.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like the thing when it's like recorded, though.
Yeah.
And then he gets dared to bring her to the party to get them to fight.
But he doesn't let on. He goes, hey, what do you say we go to this party? Show off your tattoo. We skipped the tattoo scene. They went and got a tattoo.
Oh yeah. Well, what was she singing?
Oh yeah.
Wu-Tang. She was singing Wu-Tang. That part was actually kind of fun too.
It was.
I really liked the tattoo artist. He was so into it.
He was awesome. But here's what I have to say. As a Wu-Tang fan, there is just no fucking way that Emma Roberts has ever. I guarantee you, she still thinks that Wu-Tang is like a rapper like a guy, an up and coming rapper from like New York. Like, there's no way that she has any idea. She definitely like had to learn all those lines, and it was definitely a song that she heard for the first time. And while the scene was neat, that it just was completely unbelievable that this, well-off white girl. I don't know.
What can I say, Al? Vegans.
Yeah, vegans. That's right. But when they walk into the tattoo parlor, the first like little shop, which appears to be some kind of electronics shop or something like that, it's got like stunning use of color again. It's all the walls are in these glass cupboards where you can see. I guess it's like a jewelry shop, but like a cheap jewelry shop. And all the walls are covered in this. The walls and the ceiling and even the floor, I think, are covered in this teal neon glow. And then it's like something out of Alice in Wonderland, except slapped with a digital sign or something. I don't know. It's like a steampunk Christmas decoration. I don't know. And then like they go into this like gorgeous trashy vibe in the tattoo parlor where everything is a mix of green and red, two other contrasting colors that are always associated with cheap tattoos as well. And
do you get the feeling like sometimes there's these movies that are new properties and they don't really have a name behind it, and for whatever reason the studio, so this is Lionsgate, right? They would be like, this movie would sell a lot better if it had an established brand behind it. They could have turned this into a Watch Dogs movie, changing very few things.
Yeah, I guess so.
Like there's a lot of that same vibe from Watch Dogs 2 with the neon and that like sort of 80s feel.
Yeah, I guess it's like one of the few ways that you can uncheesily bring in a sort of a cyberpunk world. I guess like it sort of enhances.
The hackers would have made more sense.
Yeah, well, it's like it enhances the implications of technology and like the vastness of technology without the people being in gigantic computers and looking for mainframes and all of that shit. So I guess it's just one of the few ways that directors have found a way to do that, like to inhabit an actual breathing technological metropolis. I don't know. The tattoo, she gets a tattoo of a lighthouse that that Dave Franco draws, and she doesn't have to have any like protective coating on the tattoo, and it's pretty much a tattoo straight away after 5 minutes. It doesn't bleed, doesn't have to be washed.
Yeah. She doesn't bitch about it for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, I'm having a lot of fun, but this is really itchy and it hurts."
Yeah, it doesn't flake.
They didn't bandage it or anything.
Yeah, she doesn't have to put
They
any
didn't give
of that.
her the like tattoo butter or whatever it's
Yeah,
called.
the gel. Yeah, didn't have to do any of that. So, as a guy who has a lot of tattoos, that was bullshit, quite frankly. And
most unrealistic part of the movie.
yeah, it was completely. And I wanted my money back at that point, but it was on Netflix, so I couldn't get it back. But yeah, so they went to the party, and I actually thought the scene where they entered the party was really cool, with like everyone cheering them as they came in.
She gets followers way too quickly, and we can say this as people who podcast and who have done things online where we realize what it actually means to actually gain followers and something, but she got followers way too fast. Now it does make sense, like she hooks up with the Ian guy and they're a pair, and Ian is apparently like internet famous on this game from the year. So like I sort of get it, but even then her popularity goes up way too fast out of nowhere. Like it doesn't make any sense.
Well, I will defend the movie with 3 words: Alex from Target. Like, that motherfucker is verified on Twitter because of like one photograph that like overnight he got like 1 million followers or whatever it was.
That's true. That's true.
And
all right, you're winning me over.
That was for doing nothing. Like, imagine he was
also
eating
didn't
dog
have Dave
food.
Franco's abs.
Yeah, exactly.
Next to it. So.
Or Emma Roberts's. I will be honest, I find her just almost sexless. So,
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, yeah, it just doesn't do it for me at all. I'm not really that into blonde women, though. Or, women that are playing teenagers in movies. Apart
Yeah.
from Vanessa Hudgens, who is just amazing in every way. And would have been better in this movie. And would have been better in all movies. As all the characters.
I think that a better V would have been, I don't know, Meryl Streep.
Imagine how fucking weird that would be.
It'd be like
Juliette Lewis is cast as Meryl Streep's mother.
And it's just like they play it straight, like she's supposed to be in high school.
Yeah. That's
Something tells me Dave Franco would be down with that.
Yeah, definitely. And like that's not a million miles away from the girl who plays Sydney, Emily Mead, she's 28 years old.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Do you think that Dave Franco is actually James Franco wearing the disguise of a younger man so that he can hook up with even younger women?
Nah, because James Franco leaves a really distinctive slime trail everywhere he goes.
Right.
And I didn't see
I
any
forgot
of that
about
from
the
Dave.
ectoplasm.
Yeah, that's right.
Just saying Dave Franco's world famous ectoplasm screen just like left behind him. That's how they always find him. They always know it's him.
It's James Franco is just one of those guys that like he's definitely had sex with a girl that he didn't know how old she was and it didn't bother him and he didn't think to ask until like the next morning, but he didn't because
He thought to ask.
Yeah. Oh man, I
don't know that James Franco thinks about much that he does.
Yeah, I'd say
especially when you look at some of his choices for movies, where it's like, oh, you're in this movie where you're nominated for an Oscar. Oh, you're in this movie where you're just making some money, I guess.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's troubling. He's a troubled young man.
Does he still teach drama at that university?
I don't know.
Despite all that's happened?
You would think he wouldn't be allowed to, right?
I don't know if he's tenured.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's very difficult. The star power brings people in.
That is true. If you're as famous as him, you can probably do whatever you want.
Yeah. That's what Donald Trump said.
Yeah. When you're a star, they let you do it.
Yep. So yeah, where they're at the party. Before they get to the party, Sydney she wants like a really serious dare because she wants to prove that she's better than V, and she gets dared to walk this ladder between. They lay out a ladder between these two buildings that I guess are connected.
Yeah, two skyscrapers.
From one window to another window. And she has to walk across it.
Yeah, it's pointed out earlier in the movie that she's afraid of heights. So the watchers are like, let's get her high as fuck. And I was like, ooh, this movie's about to get real interesting. But they meant high in like the actual literal way.
Yeah.
What would you say? That was like 20, 30 stories in the air, maybe?
Yeah, but I love how like they treated the scene like it was even more dramatic than the motorcycle scene that we had just seen.
Yeah, I think they did a really good job of that too.
But V's was so much more dangerous.
I know, yeah.
This one got so much attention as if like, oh yeah, she's gonna walk across this thing.
There was another thing about it that made no sense, right? When she did the cheerleader thing, where she flashed, her friend was holding the phone for her, right?
Yeah.
But in this
why wouldn't she get someone to hold? Yeah. There was that one guy who was just like, bro, she has to film it herself. You got to stand up. You got to finish the dare. And he just wouldn't shut up.
Yeah, and I actually think that he really helped to add to the tension. Like, I felt like I was properly able to empathize with Sydney because...
Oh my god, I wanted to punch him so bad.
I was so annoyed that, like, it like, unsettled me. Like, I was just...
I've known people like that, though. That was, like, so accurate.
Yeah, I thought so, too, yeah.
Just like that one douchebag who was just like, bro, you gotta finish this. She's gotta finish the dare. And everybody's like, shut up. And he's like, she's gotta finish the dare.
Yeah.
It's like he wasn't processing what anybody else was saying. He was just on this, like, broken record, slightly intoxicated, like, she's gotta do it. She's gotta do it, everybody. She's gotta do it. You gotta hold up your phone. Hold up your phone. And he wouldn't shut up. And it did add to the tension a lot. But it was also freaking annoying.
Yeah, so. Sydney freaked out. She was like, shut up! Shut up! Shut the fuck up! But that didn't happen, but she was very angry. Yeah, and she failed. She fell off
she
that
bailed.
thing. No, yeah, she bailed. She turned around and got back inside, and everyone was like like upset for her, but also relieved, and it was kind of this stunned silence. And then,
And that's where we get the montage of like the people failing, and it's like bad. Like one guy almost gets hit by a train, and
oh yeah,
and that's where like the movie starts to be like some of these dares, they're not no bueno.
that was Machine Gun Kelly who did the train thing, I think.
No, he was the one who actually he did his dare, but there was a guy jumping across subway track,
Oh, there was, yeah.
and like gets hit, and everybody's like, "Quick, help him up!" And you get the idea that there's like a train that's gonna come soon if he didn't get up. Like that could have been bad.
Yeah.
And there were two guys who jumped across a fire at the same time and ended up falling into the fire.
That was funny.
That was funny, but it was also like, ooh, I can see that happening.
yeah, no, totally. There was another part that we missed that wasn't really that important, but Tyler the Machine Gun Kelly meets Sydney, and then JP comes in and is like, I don't know, upset for some reason, and he calls Machine Gun Kelly Mad Max because Machine Gun Kelly is outrageously dressed.
He's dressed like Mad Max.
Yeah, like he looks like a fucking idiot. And then when he goes to leave, he's like, what does he even say? He's like, oh, hey, captain of the team, whoa. And he does some weird, like, facial expressions to all the jocks. And it's really weird. And it really does actually just make me go back on the jocks side of things and just be like, oh, this fucking
I think
nerd.
he was pissed because it was his party, and this guy did not know anybody there. He just showed up, and he was talking to this girl in that room.
Oh, right. Yeah, maybe it was that, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Mad Max, why don't you see yourself out of here? So, I mean, that was a funny little part.
That's also one of those threads that, like, the movie just never... Because he goes there to be like, hey, you're popular, I'm popular, we should team up, it's working out for your friend. And she's just like, no. And he's like, call me. And then she fails her thing.
Yeah.
And that never ends up becoming a deal.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, that was... I don't know. There were some points in this movie where I'm like, how many writers did this movie have? Was there any point where like the movie got like a rewrite or anything? Nope, just the one writer.
Yeah, it must be to pay some fan service to the book.
Maybe.
So that's the only logical explanation.
I don't know enough about the book.
Yeah, no, I know nothing about it. So V and Sydney come to blows. I guess before that, Sydney and Ian have a falling out because Tommy turns up and is like, yo, check out all this shit I learned when I got my ticket to Aruba on the dark web, and I typed in some fucking shit into my phone and downloaded a backup server to process the motherboard. Yeah. So he found out that Ian was in fact a character with a shady, dark history that involves the death of a friend of his in Seattle, no doubt, when he fell off a giant structure. And he found out that Ian's dare was to bring her to the party, and she was like, oh, I thought that was a spontaneous thing we decided to do together to show off my tattoo. And Ian was like, oh, look, you don't understand. And then V got super pissed off. She had a fight with Sydney because of all the stuff that she said about her, which was fair enough on Sydney's part, really. And then V walked across that ladder like it was nothing. Then she went outside and began snitching, which led...
Yeah, she gets mad at Dave Franco and is like, no, this game is bad. Like, people get hurt. This isn't fun. This is dangerous. I'm going to go tell this cop. And the cop, to be fair, was like, yeah, that's kind of what it is like talking to a cop sometimes. Where the cop is like, are they doing anything illegal? And she's like, well, no, but somebody could die. And they were like, are those people playing? Like, it was the most cop response. Like, he did not want to use, like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, leave me alone.
He basically said,
he was just missing the donut. You know?
Yeah, exactly. So then... I have to admit my memory of the movie is not really that clear from here, but she wakes up in some kind of fucking container or something like that.
They're like, snitch, snitch, snitch. And then, how does she get captured?
Oh, you know what it is? It's that Machine Gun Kelly literally punches her in the face.
Oh, yeah.
Knocks her unconscious. And then she wakes up inside of a...
punches her in the cheekbone.
Yeah.
Well, it was nice of him not to, like, break her... nose or anything, but I'm not sure that you can knock somebody out by punching them in the cheekbone.
In Hollywood, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
When you're a star, they let you do it. Yeah, I guess I think he must have been dared to do it though, because he comes up and says, "I'm really sorry, but I need to win this." Um, and like we do learn that him and Dave Franco were both finalists in that one that fucked up that other guy's life when it killed him, and they both have like fucked up backgrounds, and they both need the money because their families are in fucked up situations or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Um, so she wakes up inside the container, and then she gets told what to do and where to go from there. And the movie completely kind of lost me around this
Yeah,
point.
this is where it's like they didn't really know how to end it, where they're like, we know we said that there was just players and watchers, but there's actually a third category, and they're
Yeah,
prisoners.
yeah, yeah,
Prisoners of the game. We own you. And it's also, we didn't bring this up, but it's hilarious that she is like in her senior year, I guess, in high school, and she has a joint bank account with her mother.
yeah.
So her mom's freaking out because she sees all this money being added and then losing all of their money. Like they have no money because the game has taken over all of their social media and everything and is ruining their lives.
I thought that was kind of sweet though that she still has the bank account with her mother, because it shows how she's a woman who wants to go to an arts college like far away, but she still totally is like owned by her mother, and like she still has a bank account with her. Like, she is not independent at all, and it's made very clear in the movie like that she's a wallflower. She's not
Well, it's
a.
not even like really her choice. It seems like her mom is just super controlling and is,
Yeah.
you get the impression that it's not that she doesn't want her own bank account. It's that like her mom didn't let her get her own bank account, which is even more.
I think there's a passiveness to both of it. Like the mother is like, "Oh, well, you can just stay here. I want to be with you." And then she's like, "Yeah, I could do that, and I could do this as well." And the mother's like, "Are you sure that won't be a problem?" So I
Well,
think
the
it's
implication is that the mom is still dealing with the loss of the son,
yeah,
and like that's why she doesn't want to leave, but she does want to leave, but she
yeah,
can't because like she feels like she has to be there to support her mom, and that's why her mom has that weird reaction when she was like, like maybe we could get rid of the stuff from my brother's room and like turn it into an Airbnb or something, and the mom's just like, no, no, I don't want that.
yeah,
And she has like this totally weird reaction, and you find out later it's because the brother died, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true. I did sort of get the impression though that V
There's a bit of
was
a codependency thing, right? So
yeah,
you're right,
yeah,
it is
yeah,
both of them.
yeah. There's a part where like Sydney and V sort of they reconcile their differences and understand that they're friends and will always be there for each other and stuff. Um,
Yeah,
and like
but
they,
that comes right after Ian shows up. When she makes it out of the crate, because they let her know about like she's a prisoner, which apparently being a prisoner gets you automatically qualified for the finals. Which, how does that
yeah,
make sense? Like, wouldn't
yeah.
you just snitch right away and then be in the final and then kick ass in the final?
The only thing I can think of there is that the watchers were like, well, she needs to be punished, but also she's entertaining and has this many followers, so maybe we should put her in the final, but make it a really shit thing, so that
Yeah.
like either way, something it's gonna reach some kind of climax.
Well, Ian shows up, explains to her that he is a prisoner of the game as well, because when his friend he bailed on he had to hang from a crane, and Machine Kelly, is that what we were calling him?
Machine Tie, I think we were
Machine Tie,
Tie
that
Machine.
was it. Time Machine. So it's Tied to Go is he bails also, and then like this one kid who was their friend decides to hang from it, and he hangs longer than he's supposed to, and he can't get up, and he falls off the crane and he dies.
Hmm.
And then after that, Dave Franco and Tied to go downstairs and snitch to the police, and they try to get people to shut it down, but nobody believes them, and then they become prisoners of the game. So that's why
Yeah,
they're both in the game, and that's why Tied to Go really wants to win.
yeah, yeah. Um, when there's like a scene where Tommy and Sydney are in a car, and
Mm.
V phones them, and like Tommy answers and goes hello, and then she goes, "Hey guys, I'm," and I was like, "How the fuck does she know that the two of them are in the? Why is she saying hey guys?"
Yeah, that's a good point.
That was really stupid. Like, how can you fuck
Uh,
that up?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's
Um,
just
I the ending was Do you wanna take
But
us into the ending?
okay, so we'll like quick rocket to the ending. So basically, Dave Franco is like, hey, they basically ruined my life, and that's why I have to win. But that's also why Tied to Go has to win. But what I want to do is a dare that'll be so badass that it'll knock him out of second, and then it'll just be me and you, and then I'll let you win in the final because you are a good person. Like, you didn't deserve this. Like, I dragged you into this. And she's like, oh, there has to be another way. And he's like, there is no other way. And he leaves. And so his dare ends up being to recreate the dare that he failed the year before, and he has to hang from the crane, but he has to do it one-handed. So he does it, and it's no big deal. And that's where the drones start coming in, and suddenly there's drones everywhere in this movie. Because apparently millennials love drones, am I right?
Well, we do. I've got 6 of them in my room.
True. Drones are pretty cool.
Yeah, they're pretty badass.
And so they're flying around everywhere filming him, which is nonsense because he has to film himself also. And so he gets down from that. So Machine Gun Kelly, or Tied to Go, or whatever we're calling him, is out of the game. And then V is getting her friends to go and do something, some secret mission that we're not privy to, because it's important at the end. And they go to do that, and apparently it's a success, but we don't know what it is. And then they both have to make their way to Liberty Island, which is where the Statue of Liberty is. And they go 2 separate ways. Suddenly, out of nowhere, V isn't in the dress anymore. She just found clothes, and there's no explanation as to like how and why she has these other clothes. That the sweatshirt's kind of big, so it's like, oh, she just like stole somebody's clothes or whatever. But like the tights that she's wearing fit her perfectly.
What I thought it was that they were in the boot of the car.
Oh, maybe.
It wouldn't surprise me if she made Tommy go to her house and like find a change of clothes or something like that.
Tommy, oh my God, can you go to my house and get me some clothes?
Sure thing, babe. I'll do anything for you. Don't ever call me babe again.
I would do anything for love. Anyway, so she ends up getting there, and so does Dave Franco. And suddenly there's like a million people at this place.
And they all have Guy Fawkes masks.
And they all have Guy Fawkes masks and stuff, which doesn't make any sense. Because like it's a thing you can watch on the whole point is to watch it on the internet. So why is everybody watching this live?
Yeah.
Did they sell tickets? How does that work? So it's highly unlikely that there could be that many people on Liberty Island at night without authorities knowing about it. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. This isn't X-Men, right? This is just normal people somehow getting to Liberty Island, unless the Nerve game took over the ferries and everything that goes there. Because as far as I know, there's no road to Liberty Island. You have to get there by ferry. I might be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure that's the way it is. I think that's how islands work.
Yeah, well, when I imagine it in my head, there's no road that goes along the ocean. So, well, unless you're Jesus Christ, of course, our Lord and Savior, who can he can like teleport across water. That's what the Bible says.
And then there's even more drones, and their ticket to get in was they have a gun. They were given a gun.
Yeah.
And their dare is that the first one to shoot the other person wins. And he's like, just shoot me in the shoulder, which is dumb because that's so much closer to like actual organs that matter than like shooting him in the leg.
Yeah.
Where it, like, really she just has to shoot him, so she could just get pretty close and graze him. Like, it doesn't. Anyway, that doesn't matter. So he's like, shoot me, and she's like, I can't. And he's like, just shoot me, and she's like, I won't do it, and she throws her gun away. And then Tied to Go jumps down with a mask on. He unzips it, and he's like, are you not entertained?
Yeah.
And it turns into the Coliseum, and he's like, who wants me to shoot her? And then Dave Franco's like, don't do it, Ty, don't do it. We used to be friends, remember? And then he's like, I'm gonna kill her. And she's like, this is where like the movie really loses me, because she's just
her speech.
like the morals of Nerve, where she's like,
God.
Do you think this takes nerve? I hate
take off your masks. Oh my
God.
I
hate it when movies work in the title of the movie in an inorganic way, where it's like nobody would say that.
I know.
Like, was she thinking she was being really clever in the moment, being like, well, I bet it'd be really they'll really get me and what I'm saying if I work the title of this game into what I'm saying.
You think
But
this
she
takes
basically
nerve? And everyone goes, ah!
and then there's like a vote on whether he should shoot her or not, and like some people vote no, but a lot of people vote yes,
Yeah.
and then it turns into yes. And at the same time that all this is happening, Tommy, is it Tommy?
Tommy, yeah, and his black hacker friend girl. I don't
Yeah,
know why
the hacker queen
Yeah.
who got introduced very loosely, and then it turns out that she runs that whole operation.
Which is so blatantly like, all right, we have like a lead hacker person that's in the movie for like 5 minutes. Let's make it a black girl. Let's just fill up that quota.
Well, it was like the captain of the football team. It's like, sure, they're like they're not like janitors or something stupid.
Yeah,
like they
yeah.
have important roles, and like the movie wouldn't work necessarily without them. But especially the hacker. But at the same time, it's like you couldn't have made like the main character not white.
No way. No, it had to be.
And especially being related to what's her face? Why am I
Julia
losing
Roberts?
names? Julia, especially being related to Julia Roberts, like that makes you whiter than white.
Yeah, yeah. Like
At least Dave Franco like has some. What, is he like Italian or Greek or something in his background? But like being related to Julia Roberts automatically makes you the whitest person in this cast.
people are gonna get mad that we're like in favor of like just putting black people in for the sake of it. I'm saying that.
I'm saying that's what they did.
I'm saying a white girl rapping Wu-Tang is just not good. Like, make it a black girl. Like,
it is accurate.
Yeah, no, totally, yeah.
Or why Dave Franco? Why couldn't it have been like? And I'm not even saying it has to be black, right? Like it could be. We don't have enough Asian men in movies, but that's not even the point. The point is that like, I know the whole argument like, oh, it's the best person for the job or whatever, but that's not why they cast these people.
No,
if it was the best person for the job, they would have cast actual high school aged actors. They cast them because they're hot and it's going to sell.
Imagine it was Morgan Freeman instead of Dave Franco, but nothing else changed.
No, Morgan Freeman and Meryl Streep.
Oh, yeah.
And we're good. Then this movie is amazing. It's Oscar material. They each win.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, definitely.
It's surefire. So, so their whole job is to hack, because I love this. V's whole thing is, it's open source, right? So you can hack into it. And they just throw these terms that people are vaguely familiar with, and they're like, oh, Linux is open source, like, if you even know that.
We need more bots.
Change whatever. We need more bots. Like, it was just, I don't know very much about hacking, so I don't know how accurate any of that is, but sure, they need more bots. At least it wasn't like Jurassic Park where she's like, it's a Unix system. I know this. Like, he actually like they hack in, and their whole thing is that they're going to shut the game down because they're the altruistic good hackers.
Yeah.
And so while this is happening and they're hacking, she's like, you guys, do you really want this? Do you really want to be an accessory to murder? Do you really want to like watch him kill me? Do you really want to watch somebody kill someone? And everybody votes, and apparently, yes, most of them
Yeah.
them to kill each other.
They stopped short of chanting "Die, bitch, die," but I mean the writing was on the wall.
Just needed like the Caesar character with like the mask on, just turning his thumb upside down from the stands. And so Tied to Go pulls his gun out and shoots her as she's like walking away or something.
Yeah.
She falls over, and Dave Franco's losing his mind. And at that moment, they managed to hack the planet, and they send a message to everybody that says, congratulations, you're an accessory to murder. Do you want to log out? And so everybody feels bad, and they start logging out, and everybody's just quiet, and they just like leave, and they're like, no, this sucks.
Yeah.
It's like they didn't really learn a lesson. They just like, oh, I guess I'm an accessory to murder, whatever. Like, is that part of the game? It totally doesn't make any sense. And then, Dave Franco's super pissed, and Tied to Go is walking towards them, and he's yelling at him, and I think he's about to shoot him, and suddenly V sits up, and she's like, no, it was all fake, and that's where you find out that Sydney's job that she was supposed to do was to go find Tide to Go and be like, hey, can you come to this thing and pretend to want to shoot my friend and have this gun with blanks in it? Because wait a minute. Where did they get a gun with blanks?
That's America. Every gun is available on the streets, and I guess they found...
They got it from the vending machine?
Yeah.
Like, do you want bullets or blanks?
Blanks, please. Blanks. That'll be extra. Blanks are like $4,000 per round.
Yeah. The bullets are like 5 cents.
Yeah.
So it turns out that it was all fake. She had fake blood for some reason, which wasn't really apparent because she was wearing a red hoodie.
Yeah.
So like you only knew there was fake blood because like Dave Franco had some on his hand after. So it was like really weirdly put together. And he's like, Tied to Go is like, hey, are we cool? And Dave Franco's like, yeah, I guess we're cool. And he's like, she's crazy. You better watch out for her.
No,
and he's like,
he says, you got yourself a real... oh, no, your girl's a real badass.
Yeah, something like that.
Jesus.
Anyway, it was like really dumb.
Yeah.
And this is the point where I'm like, what the hell is this? Is this movie really about internet anonymity? Like, is that supposed to be the moral? Because if it is, it's really freaking murky. Because at the same time that the movie seems to be taking like this really black and white stance on anonymity, you have like the hackers who saved the day. They're the ones who actually shut down the thing, who depend on their anonymity on the internet in order to do the thing that saved everyone. I don't know. It just... I'm not sure what this movie's about, man.
I think the message is supposed to be like, don't fall into like crowd thinking, because that's bad. You should always want to be yourself, and don't succumb to peer pressure. Even though succumbing to peer pressure in this instance is what led her to being herself and also meeting the guy of her dreams. And
exactly.
So
it works out for her.
Everything has this caveat of like, don't do this thing, but if you are going to do it, make sure that it's the best thing that you ever do.
Do you think a better ending would have been if she actually died? And then everybody was an accessory to murder, and then it was on the news?
No, I actually think that would also be super cheesy. Like, I don't think they should have done that whole thing at all with the final thing or anything like that. I don't know where I would have taken it, but like from what I actually enjoyed about the movie was the thrill-seeking scenes and just the way it looked, like the neat visuals and the really colorful aesthetic, and like the webcam view and status updates popping out of the phones at the start and stuff like that. Like, and the transitions to phone camera recordings were always really smooth, and like they didn't take any of the slickness away from the movie. It's, like when I was watching the movie, that's all I was thinking of it the whole way through, was that like, yes, this is a teen movie, but it's got some really nice visuals and stuff like that. When it got to the final act, my brain had kind of switched off. I don't even know what I wanted from it, but I knew it wasn't what I was seeing.
And I think that was one of the problems of the way that the story is set up, is that it is really engaging because of that thrill seeking and because of the kind of voyeur aspect of it, that you get caught up in that, despite how you feel about any other part of the movie. That voyeurism of like watching them do these things and having kind of like a peek into like even their private conversations through other characters, like Sydney when she hears V chewing her out to Liam at the carousel or whatever. You know, like that stuff it grabs you, because we all have like that part of us that likes hearing dirt on other people and like seeing things that maybe you're not supposed to be seeing, right? That's kind of like ingrained in human nature. It's that natural curiosity that leads to many people like in animals like getting hurt or dying, where we you know tap into things a little too much when we should back off. And so like the movie does a good job of capturing that, but it sets itself up for failure because it tells you about these finals throughout the whole movie, that there's these finals and you have to be in the top 2, like the top 5 or whatever, and then like you can make it into the finals. But then like, what are the finals? Because it has to be a dare. That's what the game is set up on. But then like, how does one person win and the other person not? It's just, it's weird. And so I was under the impression that the finals in the year before's game in Seattle was the hanging from the crane, which makes sense, right? Like that's like a big dare that goes wrong. Or it was like near the finals or whatever. But then
Yeah.
like to just have them like your ticket to get into the finals is a gun, and then to win you have to use a gun. Like I don't understand why that had to be brought into it
Yeah,
at
it doesn't
all.
make
Like
any sense. Ideally it would just be that the dares get more and more obscene, and whoever wins is the person with the balls to do all of them. Like it,
yeah.
it you're completely right when you said it sets itself up for failure. Like it does, and that's sort of the biggest disappointment in the movie for me, because I really dig teen coming of age movies. That's probably my favorite genre out of any. Like I absolutely love them. And this was not quite one of those. Like it definitely didn't have the sophistication of a coming of age movie, but
No.
it was close enough to it that I was okay with it, as long as it was combined with this beautiful like Technicolor world that I just really really loved. And I think they did a really good job of being like, look, we live in a digital dystopian hellscape, and here is how it could look like that.
And that's
Um,
the part of the movie that's good. And like that's the other thing, and we mentioned it when we were talking about the cutting, that you really can't think about this movie too much because it really starts to fall apart, especially when it comes to the characters and their motivations. Like look at V at the end of the movie, she's happy with Dave, and that's actually the biggest twist in the movie is that Ian isn't his actual name. It's that his name is really Sam.
oh
That's it. That was just
shit!
a
I
screen
completely
name.
forgot about that.
What a twist!
Yeah,
Like, thanks, M. Night Shyamalan.
yeah,
She's happy with him, and then she ends up like accepting the offer to the university in her area, or
yeah.
did she accept the offer to art school? That's not really clear.
I honestly don't remember, but I got the impression that she was going to stay in New York.
Yeah, it's not really by that time it wasn't like the thing had like a big sign on it that was like art school, and you could tell right away it's like, oh yeah, she's doing the acceptance for art school, good for her. Like she's learned to rely on that impulsive nature just a little bit. But then
Yeah,
it's like, is that the moral of it? Because that's problematic also, because it also led to all this other shit that like wasn't good. So like
yeah,
it's just really gray, and not in a good way where it's like morals are vague and they're constructs, and it's like it wasn't like any sort of heady or lofty ideal behind it. It was just, we don't know how to end this
yeah.
movie,
It
and so we threw some
absolutely.
stuff together.
It wasn't deliberate at all. Like the way that it's great. Like at no point were they like, yeah, this is a great way to contextualize the ambiguity of morality. No, it was just complete. Like they knew that having her give a big speech about morals to the crowd, that's going to be a
Hmm.
parent pleaser when they take their kids to see the movie. Do you know what I mean? Like it's
You
just,
think this takes nerve?
oh man, it was so like, I actually,
I
that was the most
laughed
cringeworthy
so
part
hard.
of the
That was
entire
the
movie.
funniest part of the
It was so cringy. I couldn't.
uh,
I was so disappointed to see that in there. But
mm,
I think I just enjoyed the movie on a different level, in the sense that I enjoyed it visually. Like I liked the way it looked, and I liked the like thriller scenes, and they
mhm.
were good enough for me to have come away with like a positive reflection of the movie. Like I do think it's worth the watch, but did it do the thing it set out to do? Who can say? Because what did it set out to do? It,
Yeah, that's kind of the thing, right? Is that at the end of the day, the reason why, like on my scale, this would probably be like a 4, maybe. Like I wouldn't pay to see this movie. That's it's on Netflix. That's fine, but like I don't know that I would pay to see this movie, and I don't know that I would tell anyone like, oh, you should pay to see this movie. I do know I have friends who this movie is right up their alley and they would totally love it, and that's fine because sometimes we need popcorn stuff and just like entertainment and not necessarily like those heady ideals. But the problem is that like there were so many elements in there that had potential to have like a really interesting message, particularly when you're talking about the internet and when you have those ideas of like, well, like what is internet anonymity? How does that work? Like what is the gray area there? You have the hacker characters who are like, they do represent the gray area, right? But they
yeah,
never actually use that to their benefit in the storytelling. And it'd be interesting also to see like really like what the book is actually about, because if the book, we see this a lot with movies that are turned into books. It happened with particularly the first Hunger Games movie, where like the movie was about the games, and that's not what the book was about at all. Right? The book had a lot more of that like dystopian sci-fi feel to it, and the movie was just like, this is a movie where kids have to kill kids, but it's also a love story. Like it it's not like the movie doesn't accurately reflect like what the higher levels of thinking are occurring in the book, or what the book is saying. So I'd be interested in seeing actually like what the book is really about, because maybe there is something there more about like the morality of it, or the herd mentality. There's so many like little things that there are these little threads that don't really get, there isn't like a good any catharsis for them. And so that's like the thing where like I enjoyed the ride, but the ending lets me down so much that it ends up dropping my score for the movie, like personally, just because I feel like there was potential to talk about. It's like they got so close to actually talking about things that matter that I don't know, they could have just gone there, but they didn't. Like they didn't want to alienate like the kind of crowd that, because ultimately what the movie is that the people that this movie appeals to is also like the people that the movie's kind of saying like, hey, this shit's bad.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that's a really good point. I think the exact people who enjoy the movie are the exact ones who would be on there, like posting.
Vote yes, shoot her, shoot
Yeah,
her.
absolutely. Yeah. I think it's like, I think it's a really funny perception of myself, or like example of myself, that I don't even care that the ending was bad. I was just so impressed by the colors that I'm like, yeah, this movie's great. Go see it.
Oh, visually it's awesome.
It's so colorful. Like the colors are amazing. I think it would be. I would go see it in the cinema because of how colorful it is. Honestly, like that is literally
You
what
could
I've
go see
taken away.
Blade Runner. That's honestly part of why I'm excited for Blade Runner, is the soundtrack and the cinematography.
Same. I thought like I have opinions on Blade Runner that I don't know. The way it looks is just a huge part of why I don't think it's a piece of shit, I guess. And
Are you not
this,
a fan of the story of Blade Runner?
um, I don't even know if I am. Like,
Justine really didn't like it when we watched it. I made her watch it because I was like, Blade Runner's awesome. You love 80s stuff. And we watched it and she's like, this is shit.
yeah, I guess I'm somewhere in the middle. I want to like it, but I didn't. Maybe it's another topic for another day, because
Yeah.
I do have a lot to say about it, but it's a whole lot of nothing, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. We should review Blade Runner.
Yeah, we should. I would. Would I be down for watching it again? Could I do that to myself?
Well, I mean, the new one. We could watch the new one.
Oh yeah, I'm
It comes
totally down
out.
for that. Definitely. I really want to talk about how Jared Leto definitely has incriminating evidence on his hard drive.
All right.
Um, but yeah, I would give Nerve like a 6.2.
Yeah.
It's like it is an enjoyable popcorn movie that has a instantly forgettable ending, but the ride is enjoyable enough that you'll be satisfied that you watched it, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I do feel that. Like like I said, I know there's people that I know who would love this movie.
Mm.
I'm just trying to pull up some of the Rotten Tomato reviews to see if I can find a 5-star review for it.
While
And
you're doing
whatever
that, what I'll say is that the soundtrack to it was really, really good.
it
There's
was.
a lot of cool songs on there that I had never heard before. One of them is "Soap" by Melanie Martinez. I'm like addicted to that song now. I think it's amazing. Um, I've never really been a big fan of that "Anything You Want" song by Roy Orbison, but it fit the scene pretty well. I'm surprised they chose that song and not a more obvious sort of hit. Like, I know that is an obvious hit, but they could have gone with like a whole host of like more popular and instantly recognizable songs. So I thought that was an interesting choice. But other than that, the soundtrack worked really well, even though it's really varied and really diverse, but they all fit together somehow, and I think that is a result of the world that they created, and that those songs populated. Like, they just create this sort of thread where they fit into each other, even though they shouldn't really. They don't have any right to, but it works. So fair play to whoever came up with that idea, because it worked really well.
Nerve? Do you think this has what? Do you think this takes nerve? What did she say?
I don't fucking know.
It's the worst line I think I've heard all year.
It's not as bad as I spend a lot of time on the dark web.
That's probably my favorite line of the year.
You're only accessing 10% of the internet.
It's like, what the hell? It's so good. Oh, Tommy.
Yeah, what a guy.
You're only accessing 10% of your friendship. I don't know what that means. That sounded a lot more clever than it actually was.
Yeah, if you actually if you unpack that statement, it makes no sense whatsoever.
It's kind of like the end of the movie.
It implies that like 100%,
Don't think about it too much.
100% of friendships, like if you are experiencing 100% of your friendship with a person, it's just full on intimate sex all the time.
Hey.
Imagine doing a PSA about that. You only access 10% of your friendships.
I think that's that's the moral of this movie. You only access 10% of your friendships.
Yeah, totally.
Excellent.
Now go and be a real friend and have sex with all your friends.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.